let's see, I'm going to paint a little bit more of this little flower color wheel study painting thing. Before I start, I want to clean up some of the lines. I don't know that I traced it that carefully when I was doing it, probably because I was paying so much attention to my wonderful students. I didn't. Let's see here. I'll stop. Let me see, you hopefully go someplace like that. I do want to kind of make sure that there's the overlapping going on. That was kind of a cool thing initially. This one right here, hopefully that was in camera, in frame. This one here did a particularly lackluster, shabby job. So I'm drawing quite a bit of pencil on there, which I'm not too worried about. If that was going to be a really light, watery color, I might try to erase some of it out. I know it's going to be a nice dark area, so I'm gonna assume that all that is gonna sort of fade out. Any of the darkness of the graphite, that is. And I'm trying not to be too crazy particular about this, just a normal amount of crazy particular. Okay, I have a better idea where the heck I'm painting. I am going to go in with, I got some clean water with, here, I'm going to start fresh here, let's see. This next shape, I'm going to do a very light mixture of yellow-orange. So I'm going to grab a little bit of what I think is azo yellow. The more I think about it, I wonder if I put that Graham Hansa yellow, which turns lemony a little bit quicker. I have some Naphthol red already right over there. Once again, really hope that's in frame. So let's see, I have decently watery mix of this yellow-orange, and I'm starting. I want a little bit more. I have to go back, but I am starting pretty light. Because as I'm painting over the layers that are already painted, I want to use a really light touch. Just overall, I think the outside of this, the outer petal part, I want to keep pretty light, and then I'll keep sort of building up stronger versions of the color as it gets closer to the center. Just like the swatch, if for some reason I didn't get enough, I could, as long as my shape is still good and at least moist, I can come back in here. I've got it tilted. Oh, I made a splatter. Maybe I'll have to splatter the whole thing later. But kind of dabbing it in, dropping it in. I often describe this as sort of defining a boundary, defining borders, and then within those borders trying to let the paint do its fun watercolor thing. So because watercolor is transparent, when you glaze a lighter color over a darker color, it's not going to show up nearly as much as the other way around. So there's a dark orange, red orange to be theoretically specific, that I painted over a little bit, and you can tell because this light yellow orange is a much lighter color. So a lighter wash, so it's not going to show up that much with the darker one under it. It's transparent. Let's see. What else can I do while I'm here having a fun mess? Nope, don't want to do that. Kind of have a messy palette too. Let's see. How about a little red violet? I'll try going down. Don't want to paint over anything that's wet. Here, I'm gonna get rid of this splatter, which by just sort of diluting it with a little bit more clean water, and then coming back in with making sure it's a clean paper towel, and dabbing it up thusly. Thusly. What's with this guy? Okay, let's see. I'm going to mix up a little bit of quinacridone rose. I want to make sure that those guys don't do any unintentional mixing. Quinacridone rose and a little bit of French ultramarine. That was too much French ultramarine. Let's see, it's making, well, interesting. It seems a little bit more straight purple violet to me. This mix can, for some reason, get a little bit muddy looking on you. I'm going to try to keep it like the others, nice and light. Let's see how much more red it is than the violet we already have there. I'm going to trust that that is going to dry fine. I keep adding a little bit of water because I keep thinking to myself, that might be a little bit too strong to start out with. So let's see how much more red you are than what's there. And the answer is not a lot. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish, mostly just finish painting this shape, defining the boundary, a little bit more just clear water, and not so much worrying about the color so much, just making sure that it's nice and light. It's a little bit more red, but not as much as I want. So I'm going to define the area, that shape. Get the whole shape evenly distributed with water and paint. Try not to fuss too much, and mix up a little bit more of just red. I'm gonna drop in some red to this shape and just try to red it up a bit. That's kind of fun. These colors are light and will dry back even a little bit lighter. And like I did with the swatches, I will be able to just, to a certain degree, I'll be able to come back over and adjust things. Let's see, I want to stay out of painting next to any shape that's either wet or slightly damp, which doesn't give me a whole lot of options. This petal right here is going to be the only one that's literally not touching anything. Any other petal that might be a little bit wet. Let me be perfectionist that I am and try to clean that up a little bit. I'm going to leave it like that. Let's see, what does go in this petal, Farron? Let's see, we have green, blue, green, so it's going to be blue. Yes, yes. And I got a big messy amount of green and really no space to mix up some nice clean blue, so I'm going to make some, tidy this up a bit. You do want to be kind of careful of leftover amounts of paints in these little corners if they're different than what you want there to be, what you're going to mix up. Now this palette has been used quite a bit, and I think I scrubbed it too hard with something too abrasive once, and so it stains quite easily, unfortunately. So, but either way, let's see. I am going to say that water is clear enough. I'm going to mix up a little bit of my French Ultra. I'm sort of grabbing it from a spot on there that I know is clean and fresh, and same with the phthalo. That's the Peacock Blue, which is a phthalo blue, functions as our cool blue. But I'm mixing a little bit of both of those colors and trying to find sort of the in-between. The in-between blue, the straight up, no nonsense, everyday blue. It's not too warm and not too cool, but just right. You are going to see that when you do start glazing over these colors, it is kind of fun to see. Not kind of fun, extremely fun to see how it alters the color below. I've heard it described as similar to stained glass. There is definitely a point where it's easy to think, oh, I'll go back and try to correct something. That's a good example. It would be easy to try to there's a hair. Look, a stray hair. To panic and try to get that out. It's going to dry fine, and I'm going to just plop it out after it's dry. If I fussed with it right now, I might introduce a little bit more water and then make the whole shape not evenly wet. Um, I'm not sure about that color, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going with it. Well, I'm going to leave it there, let it dry. And now I kind of need to let everything dry, because there's no other petal that's not adjacent to or going over something that's either damp or really wet. So time out for a bit.